In the turbulent year of 1815, when empires clashed on borders in Vojvodina to protect Europe from Ottoman invasion, a resilient lady named Sosa Matic found herself entangled in a tale of love and rebellion. She was a widow due to losing her husband after an incurable sickness when she was only 18. The vibrant town of Novi Sad was her home. One day, fate led her Will you be my wife? With the promise of a life in which her sewing skills would wave the very fabric of their existence, he encouraged her to join the border community and become the officer's wife. Sosa's heart swirled with excitement, and she hurried to share the news with her sisters. However, when she met Luca again, an unexpected barrier loomed before them. The battalion command, as rigid as the fortress walls, rejected Luca's idea of marrying a city woman. This was never written as a law, but such demand was rejected as women from the city could bring despair, conflicts and problems into the battalion community. Whispers of discontent echoed even within the church halls, where the influential metropolitan ruled, representing the Orthodox Church. Determined, Sosa faced a hard evaluation, a trial to prove herself more than a mere city girl. What is that she lacks to become the wife of Shaikashi officer? The battalion command's disdain for city women escalated, and Metropolit's influence cast a dark shadow over the love between Sosa and Luca. The tension reached its zenith as Sosa, fueled by determination and the support of her spirited sisters, challenged not only the battalion command, but also the deeply enriched beliefs of the Metropolit. She delivered proof of taking care of domestic animals, fieldwork, cooking and cleaning. Each step felt like a battle, with the stakes growing higher as the love between Sosa and Luca was becoming only stronger. Rumors spread like wildfire, waving a tapestry of uncertainty. Would tradition shackle their love, or would they manage to rewrite a destiny shaped by social norms? Air crackled with anticipation as the clash between tradition and the yearning hearts of Sosa and Luca intensified. Sosa's unyielding spirit clashed against the walls of tradition. She prepared Luca's home for a Christmas celebration with a sense of every detail. They invited representatives from the army and the church to visit them. Nobody couldn't believe their eyes. but none of them show any respect for Sosa's hard work. Although they wrote positive reviews. The metropolit's influence wavered, and the battalion leadership faced a rebellion from courageous women determined to reshape their destiny. In the end, love won, but not without scars, memories of the fierce battle on the frontier. And so, the generations continued to whisper their names. Sosa Matić and Luka Đurđev. In the heart of Polverigi, a gorgeous town in the province of Ancona, in the Italian region Marche, Villa Nappi stands. In the 14th century, we witness its rise by the hands of the Augustinian friars, only to be disrupted during the chaos of the Napoleonic turnover. It was the downfall that was hard to rise from. In the 19th century, after the war, Isabella, a girl with a spirit as unyielding as the stone walls, became the silent guardian of Villa Nappi after her parents, the guardians of the villa, passed away. The impending decay of the villa became her daily battle, and her commitment to preserving the heritage was reflected in the meticulous care she gave to every corner of the villa. Count Giovanni Nappi, a wealthy and influential man, bought the property in 1815 to turn it into a testament to his fortune. In his eyes, Isabella's devotion became an unwelcome intrusion into his grand vision. Isabella was determined to protect her father's mortal remains and the legacy of Villa. She clashed with Count Nappi's plans to remodel it. In the dark of night, with a lantern in her hand, Isabella visited the old frescoes in the villa's church. One memory from the time when the group of artists lived in the villa was particularly close to her heart. As a little girl, she remembers how lively, playful, and friendly everything seemed. The artists played instruments when they had finished painting, and she danced with them freely. Today, Count Nappi discusses far-reaching changes with architects and designers that threaten the soul of Villa. Count Nappi, who was initially blinded by his desire for dominance, regarded Isabella with suspicion. He questioned her motives and rejected her presence in the villa. Isabella resisted, and the days passed in attempts to negotiate her departure. In a heated confrontation in the courtyard of the villa, Isabella pleaded for understanding, and her words echoed through the garden. The moment Count Nappi witnessed Isabella's genuine suffering and her deep care for the villa did not lead the Count to a great realization. Count Nappi observed Isabella's prayers and the silent tears she shed for the fading splendor of the villa, and began to see beyond his perceptions. As Count Nappi began to understand the importance of Isabella's family, who had been taking care of the estate for generations, the fog of his unclear visions began to lift. Isabella's struggles, conflicts, and unwavering determination were imprinted on his mind. The image of Isabella, carefully tending to her father's final resting place, while the flickering candlelight cast shadows on the worn stone floor echoed in his mind. Count Napi no longer regarded Isabella as an enemy, but as a protector. Their eyes met, and an unspoken understanding passed back and forth between them, a shared acknowledgement of the villa's deep significance. He learned more about the estate and its benefits from Isabella, realizing the blessing it was to him and the relief from a burden he felt. In the end, Villa Napi stood not only as a physical building, but also as a living testimony to the transformative power of empathy and understanding. Count Napi, once blinded by ambition, now stood by Isabella's side and recognized her as the guardian of Villa Napi. Count Napi continued the tradition of welcoming artists. The host of these events was Isabella. No one could fulfill this task as well as she could. Respected, she continued to look after the villa with the same dedication for the rest of her life. The villa exists today thanks to the resilience and indomitable spirit of a woman who refused to give up in the face of adversity. Today, Villa Napi stands and endures times, thanks to people who, as Count Napi, value origins and believe in its potential, mostly the artists who gather every year and enjoy the richness of ambient that continues to inspire. In the energetic town of Manises, where the air is filled with a sweet scent of clay and the rhythmic hum of spinning wheels, once upon a time lived a woman named Magdalena dos Olmos. Born in the second decade of the 19th century, she grew up in a community where every craft was dedicated to males. Manises was a hub of innovation in the earthware industry, and all of Europe was the market for Manises ceramics. Since Arabs came to the harbor of Valencia and discovered Manises' potential, the city near the beautiful river Turia started growing and giving many goods to their citizens. Most of the families devoted their lives to ceramic crafts, and they became recognized for their excellence. Magdalena, as a little girl, found herself drawn to the world of ceramics. One day, news came that there would be a fine earthware workshop owned by Francisco Gallego, aimed at creating a groundbreaking pottery. Magdalena was part of it, helping as the only child to her father, who was a ceramist. The workshop dedicated to participate in a competition organized by the Reality of Spain. This competition was not just about showcasing skills, but also a way to stay on track with the latest developments in the Spanish industry. At the award ceremony, organized by the Royal Economic Society of Friends of Valencia, Francisco Gallego is awarded the silver medal for his white porcelain coffee set with golden decoration typical for his factory in Manises. Magdalena, with a passion for the craft, gained her first skills in this workshop. Magdalena's father was proud of her and their work for Gallego. Despite too many, she was a silent force contributing to the success of the pieces produced. Her talent has started showing in painting. After her father passed away, Magdalena started visiting other workshops, including Juan Bautista Casani, where she was coming to observe and offer assistance. She was first recognized by his friend, the French writer and ceramist, Davilliers, who visited Manises for his work and wrote about her in his book. In this workshop, the tools were simple: a wheel and a small kiln. Juan soon became the owner of a significant factory that continued with the tradition of the metal reflection on products. This reflection in Manises was considered the expensive earthenware that reached Krim, Moscow, Copenhagen, Bergen, and America with Christopher Columbus since the Middle Ages. It was commissioned by the kings of Aragon, Sicily, France, nobles from all over Europe, Italian popes and cardinals, and it continued as the most prized earthenware whose scent was the Manises potters. Juan was the only manufacturer of earthenware to participate in the public exhibition promoted by the Royal Economic Society of Friends of Valencia. Magdalena's experience was growing, and her mentor, Casani, one day invited her for a walk near the river Turia. He showed her the sunny fields of Orange and invited her to be a guest in his family house. As an older mentor, he offered her his hand. Their marriage might not be what she was looking for, but it was an opportunity to stay close to him and at least visit the factory. Magdalena was resisting. She would rather drown in the river than become a wife. She politely asked him not to make such an offer to her again. Casani just laughed. She seemed to him as a silly girl. Days passed, and Magdalena started sneaking into his factory to steal materials. In an attempt to create something on her own, she realized how hard it is. Her relatives were forcing her to get married, but she kept resisting. One cup she created seemed to her as she finally reached something worth of showing. She packed it and went to the street market. The cup raised an interest of buyers, but instantly she was suspicious that she had stolen the cup. Magdalena was afraid to tell she made it herself. One expert among buyers accused her of stealing it from Juan Bautista Casani's factory. She was about to be punished and prosecuted for this crime. Casani came to testify. Seeing Magdalena and the cup, he said the stealing would be forgiven if she agreed to marry him. Now, as Juan Bautista Casani's wife, Magdalena became the creative force behind decorating the pieces. He recognized her talent and allowed her to spend days and nights in the hidden room of the factory. In a loud and dusty hall, with the earthy scent of clay and the vibrant colors of ceramics, 80 workers produced Kazani's pieces on the spinning wheels. Yet, Magdalena's hands worked devotedly in silence, far from anyone's eyes, in a tiny room with a light coming from a rooftop window. There she painted cups, plates, and fancy vases, bringing life to each piece that came to her hands. In the shadows, she remained an anonymous factor in the painted decoration of the factory, although her identity was often obscured by the norms of that era. Kazani was the last specialist in lusterware still active in Manises at the end of 19th century, and was visited by architects, among which was Antoni Gaudi, who was extremely interested in applying lusterware to his buildings. Juan got sick, and one night he invited Magdalena to pay him a visit in his room. He will die soon, but he admits to her he's a lucky man to find her. He regretted that they never consumed marriage. What they made in the factory and all the pieces she brought to life were important to him as if they were their children. After his funeral, the doors of the factory were closed for Magdalena. Her health was in danger, and one unusually warm and sunny day in November, she went to Kazani's grave and left one cup she painted. That night, she passed away, peacefully, with gratefulness that her strength was not just in her artistic talents, but in her resilience to endure the struggles and stereotypes. As history unfolded, her true role in the creation of beautiful ceramics became evident. Magdalena dos Olmos, born in the bustling town of Manises, deserves to be known as a co-author of the exquisite works attributed to Kazani. Her legacy stands as a testament to the enduring strength of women who shaped history through their artistry and determination. A century later, women workers started being welcome in the factories, although many of them still kept doing their crafts in the solitude of home.